Hello, everybody. We are still dealing with water and its treatment. In fact, we are in the third lecture, and this is Unit 1B of Engineering Chemistry. Now, in the previous lectures, we have been dealing with the definition of hard water and what are the disadvantages of using hard water, especially in boilers. Now, we know that the presence of calcium and magnesium salts lead to hard water. Now, these calcium and magnesium salts, they are in the dissolved state and they are not visible to the naked eye. But their presence in water leads to various problems, especially in boilers. Now, what is a boiler? Boiler is a solid enclosed chamber where water is passed through it in order to raise steam. That means the water inside the boiler that is made to pass through the boiler, they are made to they are in fact heated to high temperatures in order to generate steam. Now the steam is used for various industrial purposes. Now the boiler, especially when hard water is made to pass through the boiler encounters various problems, especially like the scales and the sludge formation, priming and foaming, the boiler corrosion, and caustic embrittlement. So it is very essential to treat water prior to its entry into the boiler. Now, the process that is involved in the removal of temporary and permanent hardness is called as softening of water. Now, what is temporary hardness? Both temporary and permanent hardness results due to the presence of calcium and magnesium salts. Now, when the calcium bicarbonate or the magnesium bicarbonate is present in water, it leads to temporary hardness. Now, the word temporary means that such type of hardness can be removed by simple boiling. Now, what is permanent hardness? If the calcium and magnesium salts are present in the form of the chlorides and the sulfates, like calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, calcium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, then the hardness that is produced as a result of the presence of such salts, they lead to permanent hardness. Now, why it is called as permanent hardness? Because such type of hardness cannot be removed by simple boiling. Now, we need some specialized methods for the removal of such type of hardness. Now, the process that is involved in the removal of temporary and permanent hardness, that is called as softening of water. So, in the ensuing lectures, we will be dealing with the different methods of the removal of hardness. So that is, we will be dealing with water softening methods. Now, the softening of water, it is very essential process because as I have discussed in the previous lectures that hard water is unsuitable for domestic as well as industrial use. Now, this is already I have discussed, that is use of hard water in boilers generates several problems like the scales and the sludge, priming, foaming, boiler corrosion, and caustic embrittlement. Now the details of which I have discussed in the lecture number 2. Now, boiler hard water can be removed by two ways. One is the external treatment, another is the internal treatment. Now, the word external means that the hard water is treated just prior to its entry into the boiler. So that means the the method used are preventive methods. Now, what is internal treatment? When the hard water has already passed into the boiler and has caused subsequent damages. Now, if we want to treat the hard water that is already in the boiler, now that type of treatment methods are called as internal treatment. So, we add appropriate chemicals inside the boiler which helps in loosening the scales and the sludges that are tightly bound to the inner walls of the boiler. So the boiler hard water can be removed by two ways. One is external treatment, another is internal treatment. Now let us see what are the major differences between the two types of treatment, that is between the external treatment and between the internal treatment. Now, let us see here that in the case of internal treatment, these are corrective methods. That means the damage has already been occurred inside the boiler because of the use of hard water, and we are now going to ensure corrective methods, that is the internal treatment. Now, external treatment is, these are preventive methods. That means the methods that are adopted during the external treatment is that the methods are preventive methods. That means we are adopting methods that will help us to prevent the boiler problems. So it is preventive methods and it is external treatment. Now the second difference is that the internal treatment methods are carried out inside the boiler. So that means the boiler, the water that has already made entry into the boiler, so that water is now treated inside the boiler. Now, in the case of external treatment, it's carried out outside the boiler before the entry of water into the boiler. Now, the third difference is that the internal treatment methods include colloidal conditioning, carbonate conditioning, phosphate conditioning, and Calgon conditioning. Now, all these conditioning methods involve the use of appropriate chemicals that help in loosening the scales that are tightly bound to the inner walls of the boiler. Whereas the external treatment methods include the lime soda process, the zeolite process, and the ion exchange process, and each such method will be discussed in more details in the coming lectures. So let us come to the first external treatment method, that is the lime soda process. Now what is the basic principle of this process is that we have to chemically convert all the soluble hardness causing salts of calcium and magnesium into insoluble precipitates, which can then be removed by settling and filtration. So what does this line mean? That we know that the hardness causing salts, that is the calcium and magnesium salts, that like the calcium chloride or the magnesium chloride or the calcium sulfate or the magnesium sulfate. Now all these salts, they are soluble in water. So that means they are not visible. When they are present in water, they are not visible to the naked eye. That means they are highly soluble in water. Now, so what is the basic principle of the lime soda process? That we have to chemically convert. That means we will be adding some chemicals which will convert the dissolved calcium and magnesium salts into insoluble precipitates. So once the precipitates are formed, we can then remove by simple settling and filtration. Now what are the chemicals that we are going to add into this process? It is the lime, that is calcium hydroxide, and soda ash, that is sodium carbonate. So these two chemicals are added externally into the hard water, and these two chemicals, they help to make the precipitates. That means the calcium and magnesium salts, they are converted to insoluble precipitates by the action of lime and soda. So the precipitates, what are the precipitates that are formed? It is calcium carbonate. One of the very important precipitate is calcium carbonate. Another precipitate is magnesium hydroxide. So magnesium hydroxide is a very important precipitate. Now ferric hydroxide, aluminium hydroxide. So if the hard water is containing ferrous or ferric salts or aluminium salts, then by the addition of lime and soda ash, the precipitates formed are ferric hydroxide and aluminium hydroxide. So once the precipitates are formed, they are easily removed from the water by simple filtration. Now let us see what are the reactions that are formed or that occur as a result of the addition of lime and soda. Now, when the constituent present in your water is calcium bicarbonate, then by the addition of lime, that is, this is lime, calcium hydroxide plus calcium bicarbonate will give a very insoluble precipitate, that is calcium carbonate. So that means when calcium bicarbonate is present in water, we require 1 mole of lime for the elimination of the hardness causing salt. Now let us come to magnesium bicarbonate. So magnesium bicarbonate, by the addition of lime, is getting converted to an insoluble precipitate. One is magnesium hydroxide, another is calcium carbonate. So we require 2 moles of lime for the complete elimination of the magnesium salts. Now let us come to, in general, magnesium ions. So magnesium ions, when they react with calcium hydroxide, this is lime, we get magnesium hydroxide, and calcium ions are generated as a byproduct. Now calcium ions, they are responsible for hardness causing salts. So that means this calcium ion that is generated, that is removed by the addition of soda ash. So sodium carbonate is reacts with the calcium ions to form calcium carbonate. So that means for the total elimination of magnesium ions that are present in your water, we require 1 mole of lime and 1 mole of soda. So this magnesium ions is in general. Now if magnesium chloride is present, we still require 1 mole of lime and soda, and if magnesium sulfate is present, we still require 1 mole of lime and soda. Now let us come to calcium ions. Calcium ions can be present in the form of calcium sulfate, and it can be present in the form of calcium chloride. So if it is present in the form of calcium sulfate, then we require 1 mole of soda to eliminate it in the form of calcium carbonate. So we require 1 mole of soda. Similarly, if the calcium ions are present in the form of calcium chloride, we require 1 mole of soda for the complete elimination to calcium carbonate. Now if bicarbonate, that means sodium bicarbonate is present, we require 1 mole of lime, and the byproduct is formed a soda ash. So we require 1 mole of lime minus 1 mole of soda for the complete elimination of sodium bicarbonate. Now, what is the difference between cold and hot lime soda process? Now, the precipitates, we know that by addition of lime or soda, we form insoluble precipitates. That means the hardness causing salts, that is calcium and magnesium salts, they are precipitated out by the addition of either lime or soda or both. Now to form insoluble precipitates, as we have seen in the previous reactions. But if the precipitates, they are not coarse or they are not dense, then they cannot settle down and we face difficulty in filtration. So in order to facilitate precipitation, 2 methods are adopted. One is the cold, another is the hot lime soda process. Now let us see what is the difference between the cold lime soda process and the hot lime soda process. Now as the name suggests, cold lime soda process operates at room temperature, that means 25 to 30 degrees centigrade, whereas hot lime soda process operates at a higher temperature, that is 90 degrees centigrade to 100 degrees centigrade. Now the cold lime soda process is a slow process, whereas the hot lime soda process is a fast process. Now in order to facilitate precipitation during the cold lime soda process, we add coagulants like aluminium sulfate. Whereas in the case of hot lime soda process, we do not require any coagulants because the precipitates are very well formed at higher temperatures. Now, fourth difference is that dissolved gases are not removed during the cold lime soda process, whereas dissolved gases are also removed due to the high temperature operation of the lime soda process. The fifth point is that the softened water, that means after the treatment process, the water that is produced that contains hardness of about 60 ppm, that means 60 milligrams per liter of hardness is still present as a result of the lime soda process operating at room temperature, whereas the softened water contains hardness of about 15 to 30 ppm. That means the efficiency of the removal of hardness is very high when we are operating the lime soda process at hot temperatures. Now the last point is that filtration of the precipitates is still a difficult task when the operation is done at room temperature, whereas the filtration is very easy when the temperature is raised. Now, what are the advantages of the lime soda process is that it is very economical. The treated water is alkaline and has less corrosion tendencies. It removes not only the hardness causing salts, but also it removes the minerals, and the iron and magnesium are also removed from water to some extent. What is the disadvantage of the lime soda process is that this process results in sludge generation. The process cannot be used for high pressure boilers. So this is all about your lime soda process. Now in the next lecture, we'll be dealing with the numericals on the lime soda process, which is very important for your exam point of view and for your syllabus also. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Thank you.